Welcome back to Zero Gravity Live, your weightless weekly tech talk podcast, bringing all the latest discussions right to you. I'm Anthony, wearing my Hawaiian shirt, joined by fellow Hawaiian shirt wearer Matt Price. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good. I'm good. It's glad to be back. I was pretty much living this life last week at the beach, so I felt like I had to wear this shirt to represent the title of today's show.
Heck yeah! Now Sterling's not wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but that doesn't make him any less cool. How you doing, Sterling?
I'm doing great today. Obviously, I gotta get with it, guys. I gotta get my own shirt made. I mean, Matt, that's a dinosaur on a surfboard?
Yeah, man. Dinosaur riding a surfboard. I mean, it doesn't get any crazier, right?
I absolutely love that. And Anthony, yours is that a tiger?
They're tigers in the forest. You know how I
Tigers
live
in
my
the
life.
forest.
Yeah.
I gotta find something. If there's anybody out there that knows of Hawaiian shirts with motorcycles on them,
There you
please
go.
shoot me a DM. I'm in.
We'll find it
Sounds
for
like
you.
a business opportunity there for you, Sterling.
Indeed. Indeed. I'm doing great today, though, guys. So
Good.
excited to be here. We have a great show on tap, huh?
We do. Now, wherever you're watching from, please let us know in the comments. We always want to hear from you. Interaction is what keeps the lights on in this place, and we'd love to know, not your computer, I already know that, but where geographically are you tuning in from? And, fun fact, y'all, we're actually joined by a special guest today because we don't know enough about sharks, but I know someone who does. Jasmine, welcome back to the show. So glad to have you here. Where are you watching from today?
I'm actually in Lake Tahoe, California. So
Very
nice
nice.
to be here. Happy to be here. There are no sharks here, but where I usually reside is San Diego, California, and there are a lot of sharks there.
Well, I would say excellent, but I guess some people probably don't think that's cool. I love sharks. I'm so excited to talk about sharks today. But before we do that, I saw something earlier and I need to see it again. We play a little game on this show
Here.
called What's in Your Office.
Ooh.
Jasmine, what's
I
in your
mean,
office?
if anyone can guess what this little thing is, so
Um,
he doesn't really have eyes, but he has a beard and some
Put it,
long
put it
legs.
right in front of your face so the virtual
Oh, there
background.
we
There you
go.
go.
is that an office gnome? I mean,
Yeah.
It might be.
I
It's either a
don't.
gnome or a pigeon.
It's
That's
definitely.
It's
Oh, I
definitely
see
a
the.
no.
I see the nose. It's definitely a gnome.
It's a
Yes,
gnome.
An
it's
It's
definitely a
gotta
office
be
no.
a gnome.
gnome? It's gray, right? Is that gray in color?
Yeah, he's very pointy, got no eyes,
He has
but
no arms, right?
no arm. Well, they're pretty small
He's
in
got little arms.
comparison to his legs. So he's a
He's
little,
not forging gold with those
Maybe,
arms,
maybe
as
the
gnomes
shark
are
bit him
known to
off.
do.
I know
Yeah.
yeah,
one thing.
seriously, there's sharks going.
That little gnome is not picking up many tabs. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't reach the
No,
pockets.
he's just kind of
Just like
weird.
Matt's
He's just
shirt.
so much fun.
Alligator arms.
Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us again, Jasmine. We're so glad to have you back. And
Thanks for having me.
I'm ready to get right into it, y'all. Do you want to talk about some sharks? It's Shark Week. I say we dive right in. Get it?
Let's
It's
do
sharks.
it. I got that.
So Jasmine, you brought this to us, and
Yes.
I'm concerned, but what's going on here?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen the news that, there's been shark attacks all over the coast, all over Florida. I mean, even in California, there's tons of shark attacks, and a lot of people can't figure out why. And I mean, there's a lot of theories behind it. There's a lot of potential causes behind why these sharks are coming closer to the shore, why we're seeing so many. And a big reason that I've seen consistently in the news and in headlines and just based on things that I'm looking at is rising ocean temperatures, which can be attributed to, I mean, obviously, climate change. And rising ocean temperatures doesn't just change a lot for sharks, but it changes a lot for the whole ecosystem as well. And sharks are, they're like a keystone species in
Mm-hmm.
ecosystems of, environments. And they, without sharks, everything gets thrown off balance. So a lot of the problem is, attributed to these rising temperatures. They're coming closer to the shore because their food sources are depleted. Their food's coming closer to the shore. It's not even just rising temperatures, but it's overfishing as well. Like, we're fishing so much that we're killing their food supply. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in this article that can tell you about why these sharks are coming closer and closer. And the big number one reason, right? factors.
Amazing question. I was looking at this article earlier. It down towards the bottom. It even says, compared to the tens of million sharks each year, it doesn't seem like a fair fight, especially considering the anthropogenic world continues to disrupt the places sharks called home. And then I think it said like what? There's like 5 on average shark deaths a year, which is like
Yeah, I mean,
that's not really fair.
humans are killing 11,000 sharks per hour.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference in what humans are doing versus what these sharks are doing to us.
And also what the sharks have been through, right? I mean, sharks are what? They've been around for 400 million years. I was kind of doing a little bit of research but before this call as well, and it seems that around 19 million years ago, 90% of them vanished. It's like actually one of the big mysteries. So there used to be so many more. Now there's so little. And of course, the overfishing is of course a major issue for them as well. I feel like we're hearing more about these shark attacks. Like, oh, there was a shark attack here, and there's a shark attack there, and there's always a bunch in Florida, it seems, Anthony. But as a matter of fact, you're right. They're still very rare. My data shows that there were about 69 unprovoked attacks worldwide in 2023. And you guys already tipped your hat to it, but there were 10 deaths, but that was a double or up from 5 the year before. So overall, there's just not a lot of deaths associated with it. And obviously the curiosity of the sharks, mistaking us for some other things and just the proliferation of especially bull sharks with warmer temperatures. I just think all of these things just sort of increase the number of them, just like increasing the attack vector in some of these ransomware attacks we've actually seen in recent years,
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's, I grew up going to the Gulf Coast down in Panama City, Destin, that general area. And, to see all those crazy shark attacks that have happened over the past, even month, this year, it's not like the sharks weren't always there. Obviously, we swim in the oceans, we go in their habitat. You're always prone to see them. But just like Jasmine said, I think there's probably a combination of the warming temps, the more scarcity of food because their typical food is going somewhere else to try to get colder water, and you keep seeing these sharks come up in knee deep water. That's terrifying. As somebody who just got back from the beach last week, that was certainly top of mind the whole week, like trying to keep an eye out on things. And it's funny because every time you see a dolphin, you have to do a double take and be like, all right, which way did that fin go? Was it a hop or was it this?
That is so true, and especially with kids, right? You have to, you're watching kids, you're like, oh, where, are they looking like little baby seals? We don't want that, certainly out there. What was interesting as well, though, during this research, I found out this actually wasn't the most prominent year in shark attacks. 69 worldwide, 2015. 2015, 59 in the US alone. Wow. So it's just very interesting that it's actually going back and forth, right?
Jeez.
I know.
That was
the media, as we've seen, changes your perception on what you're seeing.
It's so true.
Well, I think there's, it's so interesting to me because I live in Florida. I go to the beach. I've never been bit by a shark. When I grew up, I had this tremendous fear of sharks just because I saw Jaws at a young age and it scarred me forever. Love the movie, one of my top 5 favorite movies. But shark's scary. I don't want to get eaten by a shark. And as I, grew out of that phobia, because it was a phobia, I came to really appreciate the sort of beauty and the majesty of sharks and how cool they are. And I think respect is the word, right? We're in their domain, we're in their territory. You kind of start to understand how they behave, if they are not getting the food that they need because the fish are swimming up north, like this article says, be out of the water at feeding time, understand behaviors and habits and patterns and, swim near lifeguards. There's so much you can do to respect the shark and respect the shark's domain that can prevent this. And I think a lot of this comes down to people just aren't very good at, dotting their I's and crossing their T's when it comes to shark awareness.
Yeah. And, I remember watching it. It wasn't Shark Week this year. It was last year where they have that behemoth great white shark that they've got tagged down in Hawaii. And I forget, it's got a name, but there's divers literally just hanging out with it, in the water. And the thing is like, I don't know the specs, don't hold me to this, but it was like 30 foot long and probably weighed I mean, the thing was like bigger than Jaws, right? And from the
Yeah.
movie. And I'm like, why would anybody willingly jump in the water? But to your point, Anthony, I think it kind of goes back with, you look at all the shark attacks, and there's very rarely a shark attack where the shark is literally trying to eat a person.
Right.
More times than not, it takes a bite, realizes that's not food, probably swims off. But the problem is, you get some of these big sharks, that one bite sometimes, sadly, is all it takes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the infection that gets you a lot of times too. Is the teeth. Like you get bit by the shark, and the infection is what kills you. It's very sad, but
Jeez.
again, it's a misunderstood thing. Now, question for the group. Start with Jasmine. Would you ever do the shark cage experience, where they dunk you in and you're in the cage?
I think honestly, I'd be more scared of like getting stuck in the cage, or the cage accidentally gets like cut loose and I just sink to the bottom of the ocean, more than I'd be scared of like the shark itself. Because I'm like, I mean, the only thing with that is like they're chumming, so like it makes them a little bit more like aggressive. But I don't think I'd be like, I mean, I'd be terrified. Like I'd probably throw up before. I think I'd just be scared more of like a failure with a human. I don't know. Like I think that scares me more than a shark. But I don't think I would want to see a great white, like just if I'm not in a shark tank or a cage, whatever you want to call it.
New fear unlocked, sinking to the bottom of the ocean in a cage.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a
Sterling,
James Bond movie? I think that was in like a James, like literally watched her sink. Now I'm gonna have nightmares. Thanks, Jasmine. And honestly, I'm Team Jasmine with this. Just have no desire to see a big great white shark up close. And I just love how she just wrapped this in. The biggest vector of failure is the human element in all of this, and we talk a lot about that, about having all this automation, all these things that protect us in the world of ransomware mitigation and remediation. It's always the human error. I'm not getting into one of those cages that some guy accidentally forgot to lock, and then this thing just moseys up to it. So no, thank you.
Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. That's what the internet's for. That's what Shark Week is for. Like, I can see all these sharks from the comfort of my own home and not even get wet. That said, though, one of my big goals is to go scuba diving. So I would always be a little, on edge scuba diving without said cage. So I would need some sort of spear gun or something to even feel secure, to go down under the waves. But you just never know. And more times than not, it's almost like it's never the big monster sharks that are doing the attacks. It's these little baby bull sharks, and there's different hammerheads that can be aggressive. It's these other odd species that you wouldn't necessarily think that are the more aggressive of the shark species, when normally you're looking at Shark Week and it's all big great whites because they breach and get the seals and stuff, but that's not typically what happens on the beaches. So
they look the coolest, so they get the most attention is why. And also Jaws. I would do the cage, but only if it was at my local aquarium. So that's
you don't have great whites at local aquariums. So.
That's the issue, We do have, I have SeaWorld nearby. We do have some pretty cool sharks in SeaWorld. So and it's cool. You go through a tube and you can see them all above you. And it's close. You're not wet though.
Apparently, if you put a great white shark in a tank, it'll just keep ramming itself against the glass and kill itself, basically.
That's very sad.
Isn't that the Meg movie? Okay.
That's what I thought. I was like, isn't that a movie too?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it is, but have you guys seen that video of that? I think it was last year's Shark Week, where he's in that plexiglass tank, and this great white actually comes and goes through the glass and almost chomps him in half.
Wait, what? You know what? I think so. Does he bump the plexiglass and the plexiglass kind of comes in? Is that what I'm thinking, or was it something else?
Yeah, sure.
I may have seen
Let me see if I can find it.
I mean, if somebody gives me the choice between steel and anything with the word glass in it and shark, let me have the steel bars, please.
Yes.
Oof. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. But it works in the aquariums, because then it's just it's a dome kind of thing. I can't imagine being a very large fish and confined to any space whatsoever. I think that's a special kind of cruelty.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that is true. That is true. Guess where in the U.S. Over time, because I just saw this chart earlier, who has had a massive, probably 90%, maybe not that much, number of these shark attacks in the U.S. Where is it?
Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Yes, it was Florida. It was Florida. It was a conglomeration of all of the parts of Florida, so it didn't break it down. But it was like it was since they had been keeping the time, so it was like 1837, and it was like over 900 attacks were just in Florida, and then there were some smatterings in other places. So SoCal got some, my area, DC, Baltimore, and they got 3 or 4, but it was like 900 and something like that.
And I would love to see the breakdown on that, Sterling. What's East Coast Atlantic versus the Gulf?
Yes.
I would bet you the majority of it is in the Gulf.
That's a good point.
Because that's that nice water. You know, the thing is like, every time I go to the ocean, we have to leave at one point because of sharks. Like, it's just the way it is. You get the little, the lifeguard blows the whistle, come in, we saw fins, you just come in. And like, they're watching, they do the little flyovers and they look for shadows. And then you go back out after, 15 minutes, sharks moved on. It's so avoidable. It's almost stupid. Like, I don't want to say people who get bit by sharks or like attacked by sharks are stupid, but it's something that I think if we took a little more seriously, which I think all the topics today, you could probably say that, but it could be avoided.
Yeah. I think one common denominator that I like kind of was just thinking related back to security and ransomware, all that stuff, kind of what I was saying earlier was like the humans. It's like, who's driving warmer temperatures? Humans. Who's overfishing? Humans. And it's like all of these things drive back to one, common source. And it's like with ransomware as well, like the bad actors are the humans. And like, but then at the same time, the people who aren't trying to be the bad actors are, humans as well. Oh, this is the video. Yeah.
We got the clip. So apparently Jasmine just sent me this. Yikes. No thanks.
Oh gosh, is that, do they call that, excuse me, but isn't that chum? Is that called chum? That's like all around them, so they're baiting the shark.
I don't know, but that guy almost got literally eaten.
He literally nearly got chomped in half by that big
shark
boy.
is huge too.
Let's just one more time because this is horrifying.
I remember seeing this and I was like, there's no way this is real. Like, I thought it was fake.
This looks fake.
That's not even real. Chum. That's just a school of fish. I don't see
school of fish.
Blood in the water.
Like,
he's so lucky the shark does not like plastic,
Yeah.
He was like this close away from him. Crazy.
I know.
That is crazy. Wow. People will do anything for the gram, won't they?
Yeah, this guy.
This is Discovery, like this is an official documenter. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's a hard pass.
I think I would just pass out and like drown probably if that happened.
That's a hard pass.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Whew. Visual aids coming in today. Like now I'm like, I don't know if I want to go in any cage with a shark ever.
No, man. I don't know.
I'm just glad we are having this episode after I got back from the beach.
Yeah.
Right?
Before. I might have been like, all right, kids, pool time it is.
Yeah, like no beach for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you for the sharks, Jasmine. Thanks for the shark education. I feel like I learned something today, and I think we could all do a little bit better at being shark aware. As we're always talking about ransomware awareness, but shark awareness is just as important.
Yeah.
Matt, what have you got to show us today?
Well, I was gonna have this cool backdrop, but I got to show it at least once. But my surfing dinosaurs kind of messed me up for today's show because they happen to be green, and this is a little distracting. But like I said, I was at the beach last week, so one of the things I wanted to start with is share a cool pic that I took. So there's so much goodness from this single picture. This says we're fishing, which was epic, to go deep sea fishing, and you can see the double rainbow in the shot
all the way across the sky.
All the way, and it was a wild time out there. There was a little bit of the pop-up thunderstorm. We all just had to bear it. But speaking of sharks and fishing, I just kind of wanted to show this because this was a highlight of the week. And when you think about increases in shark activity and shark bites, to kind of bring that back to the general theme of the show is ransomware avoidance and how to protect yourself. One of the things I just wanted to share is not a specific ransomware attack, but the frequency at which these are happening. And this right here is on Cybercrime Magazine. I just want to show you guys. So look at the dates, and I realize it may be small if I zoom in again. 7/16, Rite Aid. 7/16, Philippines Department of Migrant Workers. 7/15, Indonesian cyber attack. 7/13, how did the auto dealer? They probably had to pay 25 mil.
Yeah.
Jeez.
7/12, New York under attack. 7/12, Tokyo Marine reports. Ironic for today's show.
Keeping it in the theme. I like it.
Right? 7/11, Montana mining. 7/11, ransomware hit government offices in Indiana's Clay County. So the point is, like, we're just now halfway through July, and like this page is full already. Like, if you go all the way back, I mean, I'm still okay. So there's the beginning. 7/2.
Wow.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, there's what, like 20 of these attacks, and we're halfway through the month.
I want to remind you, those are just the ones that we know about.
Right.
There are many companies that haven't reported.
That's right. And I just thought this was really eye-opening because, it seems like each week we'll have a predetermined ransomware topic or some sort of threat or social engineering scheme or what have you. But like this to me was really eye-opening just to see the quantity that's starting to happen. Yeah. And this is why, what we do in our profession could never be so important, in today's climate. So this was just a little surprising that there was this many, to your point, Sterling, that were reported in just half a month,
I mean, that we freak out. Every shark attack makes the news, but like 20 attacks in under a month's worth of time, like that's insane.
It's insane.
The amount. Yeah. And I mean, just
like, it has like anything to do with this, like people are, more relaxed, more off guard, or what do you think is causing this kind of uptick?
That's a good point. I mean, people go out notoriously because, summer break for school. The likelihood of an IT admin leaving, going on vacation, maybe someone underneath him, little greeners on site watching, maybe doesn't have all the passwords he needs or has too much access. He's socially been engineered and compromised. Suddenly you have an attack. That's a really good point. And I think there are definitely bell curves of attacks. And a lot of times it'll happen when a new type of ransomware gets released and people don't have the definitions in their antivirus libraries to prevent it from getting in.
Yep.
But yeah, situational is such a huge reason for attacks to happen.
I mean, showing 1 of 100 of 1,202 attacks. That's like, come on.
Yeah.
This is an epidemic.
It really is. That's insane. I also think it speaks to how the egress time and maybe starting to go down a little bit. We used to see them come in and they kind of lied in wait, for months on end. And I feel like our tools are getting better overall, the industry, and so they're sort of moving quicker as well. I absolutely feel, Jasmine, to your point, that they still understand the human element is the best part. They know that people's defenses are down right now. People are on vacation, think about other things. It's that time of year. So I bet you these things are taken into context, but we're just tracking up. I mean, we're getting going here. I mean, you have stuff like the car dealer POS system that totally took down an entire industry. Those things were going to happen no matter what, meaning that they're constantly under attack. So to your point, I just think it just speaks to the need to always have it front of mind.
It's scary stuff, y'all. With vigilance, zero trust. That's all we can do. Sterling, what do you got to share today?
You know what? I'm going to go to a little bit of the lighter side of the coin today. Normally, we like to be you're the ultimate sort of the doomsday seether, and
Johnny Raincloud.
I try to just keep the awareness going with certain things, but this one is definitely technology focused, but honestly, a big accomplishment for us here. Over in Italy, an Italian firm has just completed an ultra deep installation of a subsea cable, the depth of about 7,000 feet or about 2,150 meters. It's totally a new record in this domain, and it's the first time ever for get this, y'all, high voltage direct current mass impregnated or HVDC MI cable at that depth. Whew. So we're just going to call it the HVDC MI cable from now on. Now, this HVDC MI cable is related to a new electricity corridor that they're building in the center of the Mediterranean. And it's really cool that they have this armor that's around it that is 50% lighter than steel is when it's submerged in the water. They've already used this steel in a couple of other installations here. And of course, this steel was laid by none other than a special vessel named Leonardo da Vinci. So that's who actually laid this cable in the center of the Mediterranean. This is going to connect Sicily with Sardinia. And what's it going to be used for? It's going to increase the capacity of renewable energy fourfold by 2030. What do you think, guys?
I love that. That's awesome.
Yep.
Love to see my fellow Italians doing the work laying cable in the ocean.
Absolutely.
So who's going down when it breaks?
when they have a nick
when the shark
let's just
comes
hope
and
that
bites
armor. Exactly. Let's just
Speaking of these giant sharks.
I tried to keep the sea theme going on today. And of course, this is technology. These are the types of things that are ultimately going to allow faster transmissions between countries. You know, we have some cables down there of the fiber optics that we have laid across the ocean floor. This was never been done at this depth for I think it was 1,000 megawatts that they're transmitting with this cable. So the ability to then stretch these other data cables and other optics further, the future is looking connected for us here.
Oh,
Could you imagine? Go ahead, Jasmine.
Oh, I mean, I just think that's really awesome. Like, I just think of how many things people have been able to put in the ocean and like build. Like, there's a train that literally goes under the ocean and connects like France and like England. And it's just like, I've been in it and it's just so weird. And like, it just makes me think of how are they getting this stuff down there and putting it down there? But I mean, that's really cool that it's contributing to a greater cause too. So
absolutely.
Cool find.
I'm just waiting for when we drop this, 7,000 foot deep cable on some elder god that's been long since buried. And then 2 weeks later, Godzilla shows up. Like, this is how it starts, y'all. Just be prepared.
I was about to say, I've seen the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now it's laying on somebody's vibranium stash, I'm sure, somewhere.
It's like all these dead fish just float to the surface. Oh, there was a cut in this electrical cable and we just electrified the whole ocean.
Like, granted, I'm sure, like, it's just like you said, it's renewable energy. This is good. This is great. Yeah. There's always the cautionary tale that comes along with it. But I think for the most part, the ocean's huge, y'all. Like, it's huge. 80% of our planet, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so my question is, so putting this back into a little bit of the technology, I guess, relationship. So if you think about this, like that cable's Ethernet, where we have Wi-Fi in our houses. Back in the day, Wi-Fi was so incredibly slow. If you could hardwire in, it was a no-brainer because you'd get full speeds and full transmission. With the advancement that we've seen in some of the latest Wi-Fi standards, how much longer do you guys anticipate us needing to do all this extra work to span oceans when we could just beam it to the satellites in space and back down and get comparable speeds and performance? Like, I don't think we're there yet, but how much longer do you think before that technology evolves where we won't need this anymore?
Oof.
So, when you were asking that question, I was actually Googling because I remembered something. Y'all seen what these things look like? These cables? Like, this is a human being here. Like, yeah. These things are thick and they're full. Wow. It's not just copper. It's got lots of different purposes.
Yes.
You can even see like all the different kinds of material that goes through here. They're sending just massive amounts of electricity or data or fiber. Like, I don't know if satellites can handle it, right? Like, it's why you run an Ethernet cable to your gaming PC, because you want that extra little bit of low latency. Yep. I think the time it takes to go from space back down, you can't compete with something that's that big and energized.
Well, it's just money, right? Because I'd imagine it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Well, I'd also tend to agree. And hey, let's not forget about weather. All these things do affect, the ability to transmit through the air.
Yep.
I would tend to side with Anthony here, although I think the protocols are getting better. I do think it's going to be faster, especially devices on the edge. I don't think there will be a need to tie in. But when you're talking about the connection between, let's just say, City Hall and the Justice Department or some of these other things, you really want to have that physical connection. And I do think that also means that big old cable that goes down through the stretch of the ocean. So I don't think we're going to be abandoning that soon. Although there could be a movie, Meg versus Promethean, coming in the future where the shark attacks that daggone cable and I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I
I'd
mean,
watch that movie.
I don't know much about all of this stuff, but what I do know is that the ocean is 90% of it's been unexplored, and space has been, I think, a little bit more explored than the ocean has. So I'm like, if they're putting stuff down the ocean, that would seem to be maybe more difficult than going to space. I don't know, because I'm like, it seems like we have that access already, and we don't really know much about the ocean. So to me, it seems a lot harder to go down to the bottom of the ocean and lay some cable than fly to space. But I've never done either, so I don't know. But it's
True
my
talk.
thought on it.
True
Maybe this is the way forward. I don't know.
So this has to be a theme for an upcoming show. We don't have the time to get into it during this show, but I also find it a little comical, maybe sad. Here we are in 2024, getting closer to 2025, and to your point, Jasmine, who knows what's down there? Nobody can tell us. And it's like we've got all this ground penetrating radar. We've got satellites all over the earth giving people free internet in the deserts. Like we have the technology, like the movie says, right? Like, why has this not been done? Like, I understand it's a lot of surface area to chart and map, but there's bound to be a way to accomplish that. Unmanned drones, solar powered drones that just sit out there, something, right? To give us a little bit more idea of what's beneath the waves. Cause that's a little disturbing where we are in our technological advancements as a species, still not to have any clue what's under the waves.
It's I'm always reminded of the clips where you'll see either on the news or Discovery Channel or something, and they'll be like, "Oh, we just sent a little tiny submarine camera down to the ocean. We've seen new depths we've never seen before." And you see this giant honking flashlight shining a light right in this fish's face, and you're like, "This fish has never seen light in its entire life, and you've just blinded the poor thing." Drives me nuts. Anyway,
crazy stuff.
Its friends will never believe what it just saw. Dude, there was this big light in my face.
Blinded me. My topic for today, I actually picked because I knew Jasmine was going to be on the show. She did not know that I was going to pick this, but guess what, y'all? Guess what? Facebook ads for Windows. Desktop themes push info stealing malware. Now, Jasmine, I know you run our social, so you're more Facebook familiar than probably any of us. And I'll give you the 411 on what's going on here. So there's this new ad, and you can see this is what they look like right here. They're advertising cheap free games, desktop themes, Photoshop deals. But if you click them, they will instantly put malware on your Windows computer. So, obviously, again, I'm Johnny Raincloud. I'm going to bring the sad facts, but it's pretty wild that they've said there's you do the math here, over 10,000 different ads that are just out there pushing people into, and all they have to do, click the ad. Now they're completely hosed. Mm-hmm. It's a dire thing, but it's just the latest way they're coming in. And Jasmine, you are our Facebook expert. Have you come across any of these yet?
I mean, I've seen I see weird stuff on Facebook all the time, which is why I tend to not use the platform. But I mean, one thing that I could think of is why these are more frequent on Facebook is just due to how many people have a Facebook account. People from every generation have a Facebook account, so they have a lot wider of a attack surface of who they can get on the platform, is my thinking. Yep. I've just seen weird stuff, like people post scams all the time, in Facebook groups on they're selling I don't know, this person was like, oh, I'm getting rid of my Xbox, like, because my husband left
Yep.
me, like, taking all the Xboxes and the Macs, and I'm giving it away, and it's like just really janky pictures. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's just a lot of weird stuff on there in
Yeah.
general, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of the platform, but I'm also, I don't know, that's just my take on it.
I think Jasmine
I've
brings up a
seen
good
that.
point. Yeah. I think Facebook is like the new Craigslist or something like that. And it also
Good way of putting
gets,
it.
you know what I mean? And it also gets, I mean, I'm just going to call this out because you hinted at it, Jasmine. I'm just going to say it. It's got the least technologically adept people on its platform of any other technical platform that we know today. And so the preying on these people with, it could be young, old, whatever, the technically inept people, of which I have some family members, right? They're all on that platform.
We all
So
do.
it's super easy to prey.
Well, how many times have we seen, if you get a friend request from me, it's not me, don't accept it. And I'm like, all right, yep, there's another one.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to Jasmine's point, you see ads on the Facebook. So first off, Facebook Marketplace, I'm a huge fan of, but to your point, you have to navigate the waters with a little bit of intelligence. Like if you see somebody selling, I don't know, I'll throw out a jet ski, $1,000, never been used, comes with a free trailer. I'm like, really?
Uh-oh.
Like these are spam, just trying to get your personal information. And
Yeah.
the one time that I actually thought one was legit and I reached out, I'm like, is this still available? They're like, yeah, to Jasmine's point, like I'm selling it for my husband or something. Contact so and so with this email address and phone number. I'm like, so your first communication is to get me off the platform. Obviously,
Yeah,
this is
no.
spam, so it's like, come on, guys.
My motto is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So I
Amen.
just try to look at that, and I'm like,
As is
the
life.
jet ski's $1,000.
Yep.
Even if it is $1,000 and it's a real deal, how good of a jet ski is it?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like that for all kinds of different things. It's not, I just throw out jet ski as an example. Could be a car, could be a PlayStation.
true.
It's like
It's true. Could be a motorcycle.
something smells fishy about this.
You're basically like applying like a very high level light zero trust policy to your Facebook scrolling,
And
right? Like,
conditioned.
yeah. It's like, I don't know if I trust this thing. Validate further, verify explicitly, and then
Yep.
we're gonna, block this, move on, or if we feel the need, we will engage with caution. Like,
Yes.
Just like how we assume breach, assume lies.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
assume fake. Well,
Yep.
my question to y'all is: do you think Facebook needs to own some of this, like responsibility?
Ooh.
Like, if they're selling ads and the advertiser is the one who is putting this malware in the ad, and it's through Facebook's app that people are clicking and downloading this thing. Like, I do think Facebook needs to apply some kind of zero trust, just in mass to their experience, right? Like, we know that their user base is not technologically savvy. We know that it's our parents, our grandparents, aunts and uncles who may not know, and they're clicking these things. Yes, if it's too good to be true, don't. But at some point in time, you got to say, like, hey, the platform provider needs to step in and help with this experience. What do you think?
What's strange is I thought you had to submit your ad through an
do.
approval process. So it's like, who's approving this stuff if it's very clearly malware,
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is, like, it's not Facebook's intent to download a virus to our laptops, but it's clearly hopping through them. So I just want to see more security on their side. I think, we at Object First, we try to build a product that is secure by design, secure by default, because we understand the importance of that. And I think what's sad is businesses get treated better when it comes to security in their platforms than non-technological end users. And I'd almost like to see that swapped, because we're expected to be security experts. They are not.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I mean, this is on the same vein, but it's like having, like, I know that AI is the way of the future and all of these things, and like having those bots to talk to you and stuff. But like, I had an issue with Facebook that was like the most frustrating thing ever. And I could not figure out a way to speak to like a person. And like, I sound like, I don't know, like I'm, enable, but the people could not, like, no one could help me. These bots were just like redirect me. And I was like, so when I think about that, I'm like, oh, well, how are people avoiding scams when you can't even talk to like a real person? And Object First, I mean, we have our 24/7 customer support, real people who you're going to be talking to. So I think that, like, in a way, AI has like kind of taken that away from a lot of people is, you know, that real-time support, talking to people. It's like, I can't figure it out by talking to a bot who like doesn't even know some basic commands, is how I feel. But
It's like
That's a good point.
how I gauge the success of a company when you use support, if it's automated and you go operator, representative, and you don't get anywhere, it's
Yeah.
a fail right off the bat.
literally, I'm like screaming at them, I'm like, give me
Yes.
a person.
You've got to have real people behind the scenes.
It's like efficiency gone too far. It's like we started by wanting to offer more hours of help. Now you can talk to a bot outside of normal hours, but now it's just, is it a slashing that you want to reduce the cost, all these other things. You know, there's a balance. There's a balance between efficiency and security. And I think, you know, that's a lot about what we talk about, is being able to bring security to the masses, to that VM admin that doesn't have to be a security expert to harness all the power of that. But we still manage to make it usable. You know, you go through the TUI and then you get into the GUI and then you add it to Veeam, and it kind of, you know, so there's a balance there where you don't want to make it too easy so that it's just, you know, has no security. You don't want to make it too secure. It's so easy. And I feel like the customer service realm is kind of leaned too far into it used to be you could just keep hitting 0 and a person would come on. It doesn't work anymore, y'all.
The good old days. Miss those days.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up another one. We've talked about sharks, cables, ransomware, and how Facebook's going to kill us all. So I think we've covered it. I think that's the most dangerous thing that we've talked about today. So as always, thank you, Jasmine, for joining us, being our very special guest, bringing those shark facts. Super interesting and valuable, and hope our viewers and listeners got a chance to learn something as well. Thanks, Matt and Sterling, as always, for bringing the heat with your topics. Love it. And thanks, y'all, for the conversation. If you're watching and you haven't already liked, commented, subscribed, please do that. And check us out on YouTube and LinkedIn, where we do all of our things. And if you're listening in podcast form, be sure to leave us a nice review. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Olympics. So be sure to tune in and learn all about that as we kick off the Olympic season 2024. But until then, stay weightless, stay frictionless, stay zero gravity.